Hello and welcome to Un Beyond Mindset podcast. My name is Marisol Uribe, your host, enfermera Marisol. And tonight we have someone very special. She is close to the family. She's actually my sister in law, who I have the pleasure to interview tonight. We've gone through ups and downs as a family. She's one of the most resilient people I know. And with that, I'll have you introduce yourself, Annette. Go ahead.
Hi, Sol. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure and an honor. All of your listeners and all of your new listeners, if maybe this is your first time listening to Marisol, you're definitely at the right podcast if you're trying to find someone who's authentic, genuine, and cares for others. Marisol is your girl. She's a wealth of knowledge and she's just expanding what she knows and is learning to all her listeners. And what better than to do it by a podcast as well, right? My name is Annette Uribe, and like Marisol said, I am her sister-in-law. I'm married to her amazing brother.
Shout out, Josue.
A shout out. I'm
Awesome.
excited to see where this goes.
What is the name of your business? Let's start there. And what problem do you uniquely solve? Or what need did you find? And then how do you stand out?
Okay. So I'm an independent contractor for World Financial Group. And what I do is I focus on insurance and investments. I've been doing it for the last 4 years, and I found a true passion doing this. Um, I saw there was a need in the community. And I'm not going to say just in the Latino community because we help everyone, but that's kind of where it stemmed off. I saw how the types of conversations that we have with families are left out in certain households. And unfortunately, when those conversations are not spoken about or, taken any importance, when the unexpected occurs, that's when the family goes into either a financial burden, other than also having emotional instabilities. And so I help individuals plan for their future, plan for the unexpected, how to make and save money, and it's something I'm super passionate about.
That's awesome. And how long have you been doing this?
It's going on 4 years now.
Exactly. Yeah. So you've listened to my song, right? Un Billon. What sort of resonated with you, if anything? And what do you find that your parents taught you the most, like their biggest lesson?
Okay. Well, you talk about your family history, right? How your parents came to this state, and you know how it started with your dad with that American dream, and how your mom was kind of the foundation to your family and many things, right? So definitely that's something I resonate coming from. Also, I'm first generation, just as you. Also first generation to go to college, and with hardworking parents who came to this state to make something better for themselves and for the family that they were planning to have. Un billón, you also talk about all the people you're planning to impact, right? My husband and I have
That's
big
right.
dreams. Yeah, so my husband and I have big dreams and big goals. It's definitely probably something that runs in the Uribe blood.
Oh, yeah.
and so it's amazing because just like you, we want to impact as many lives as possible, whether it's directly or indirectly. And so I think it's something beautiful that you're doing a movement on how it's going to trickle down, right? Starting from you to all the lives that you're going to be touching.
And you're one of my biggest supporters. She actually bought one of the first shirts, the first prints that I made. It's a very exclusive line. If you're interested, you could DM me your size and we could go from there. But Un Beyond definitely means a lot. Different for different people. Some people think money as number one. For me, the first thing that came to my mind was people. Um, because if money is a factor, which it is, 100%, we all have problems. People with money just can have options. And I believe they can solve problems a little better, a little easier. Also, too, if you're well connected, if you have good relationships, also with money, hey, they may be philanthropists. They may be donating to their former colleges, universities, high schools, and to foundations, right? Causes that may also mean a lot to us. And the sky, I mean, not even the sky is the limit. So,
Exactly.
thank you for that. Um, and definitely, yeah, my parents has have taught me so much. I know with Josue, I think that's what makes him a great leader. He saw more of the struggles. Like he said before, I was raised a bit easier, right? My parents had already sort of solidified their business. They already had some cash flow coming in. And it's actually the first time I'm really explaining this, but uh, we're in a business. And in Mexico, that's very common, actually. You see people live in their houses in these pueblos, and the first part of the house, the entrance is the business, and then the back part of the house is where they live, right? Or upstairs. So everyone is pretty much entrepreneurial. And this podcast, it's like we're talking. So I'm going to share with you what I learned from Tony Robbins. I went to his business mastery in Florida. And one of the things that I learned was he categorizes people in three different ways if you have a business. He goes, you're either the artist as your forte, your number one, or the entrepreneur as the risk taker, putting it all on the line. Also, you can be profitable and so that the business makes sense. Or number three, you're an operator. You're more of the leader. You're more of the person that wants to lead and hire the right people, the right talent so that your business can keep growing. So you need all three.
Mhm.
But some aspects stand out more than others. But we may all have the entrepreneurial quality, no matter which of the three you feel the most attuned to. So I think, everyone over there, my dad and my mom included, they resonated with one of those three. And then naturally coming over here, immigrating, the last thing on their minds was really to work for other people. But they understood that they had to in the beginning to get this capital, right? This money and use it as leverage to finance projects and later the dream life. The learning is nonstop. I think we're lifelong students, right? It's funny how you enter school for one thing and you may not necessarily be practicing that. And that's totally fine because everything gives you a skill set, right?
Absolutely, and I can definitely agree with that. I was in the midst of submitting applications for PA school. I had already submitted my first one, and then life took its turn. I became my dad's main caregiver. I took a pause from submitting applications, and then the firstborn came along, and I completely changed careers. And looking back at it, it's a blessing in disguise because I always looked for a way to help people. And for me, growing up again in the traditional household that I did, and my parents not knowing other, it was medicine, the only way that kind of was ingrained in me. Like, well, you can help people this way, right? And um, little did I know there are so many different opportunities to help people in different ways. So, uh,
That's right.
yeah,
Shout out to Juelito, by the way, the firstborn.
yeah.
That's his
He
name. He's
turned
got
5 yesterday.
That's amazing. Time just flies. He's entrepreneurial as well. The parents are implementing what they've been learning. He's got a shop. It's called Zo's Shop,
Mhm.
ZOSSHOP.com, where you could grab a bag, tactile bag for guys and girls alike. And it was inspired by, I remember Josue, my brother, walking around with a huge bag and saying, this is like geared toward women. Like, I don't like the
Yeah.
style. So he took it upon himself to design a bag. It took him a long time because he's picky, and that's great, right? For that business aspect. And yeah, go to that website, guys. I'll link it in the description below to definitely support that movement. It's like a college fund for your kid. If you see a problem, you
Absolutely.
see a need, we need more entrepreneurs. That's just the fact.
Hmm.
Um, we're all buying all the time. And so if you happen to be jealous because someone else is selling or you're seeing a lot of ads, maybe it's your signal to make your own ad and make your own business and join the movement.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, definitely. If you have a product that solves problems, there is no need for you to hold off and be shy about it and
Right.
not spread the word because that's being selfish.
And when you talk about products, it's easy to just think of the tangibles, right? But there's also products that people sell that are intangible, like coaching or some sort of plan. And then people are like, whatever reason, it kind of bothers people a little bit more. Oh, like, oh, they're selling a service, right? Because they want something, they give money and they want something in return back. But in return, you can still get a lot of value through something intangible. You just need to
That's
understand it.
correct. That is so true. I was a tutor. That was one of my first jobs, one of my first roles, still in college. I went to Mount St. Mary's University and I went to school for nursing. I'm a nurse. And yeah, before getting my first licensure as a CNA, I was a tutor, helping other students like me pass their introductory courses to get to that next license or degree.
Right.
And so you can monetize a skill set, whether
Absolutely.
it's physical or something that you learned over time, definitely, and be profitable.
I agree. And more people should
Yeah.
do it and take advantage.
Definitely, you guys. So Fiverr.com comes to mind. Fiverr.com. Both to buy something you may need if you're a startup and launching a company, or to sell, right? If you have more time than money, you're probably looking to sell stuff. If it's a skill, you could go there. Wink,
Right.
wink. Not a sponsored ad. But you guys, I hope you're getting value from this. Um, Another question for you, Annette. How can my listeners help you? Tell us where to follow you, where to
Oh,
find you to support your mission. You could summarize again what you do in a quick sentence.
yeah. So you can find me on Instagram or Facebook. I keep it pretty constant. Annette M Uribe. So ANNETTEMURIBE. And I tend to post a lot of positivity, anything that can be of value, specifically within finances. Maybe information that they haven't heard about, or information, especially if they have young ones. My One of my biggest thing is kind of breaking down that gap in generational wealth. A lot of people work hard for what they have accomplished, and I see it, for example, with our parents, right? I would hate for generational wealth, like it unfortunately it does, by the first generation, the second generation, it's gone. Because again, it's conversations that no one's having at the dinner table, or no one's taking the time to educate their children on how money works. They're not building trust to keep their legacy going. They're not investing in life insurance. They're not planning for retirement. And then here comes something unexpected, and and it vanishes, right? And so I'm a strong believer in helping those who have the mindset of wanting to continue to help the future generation to prosper and have abundance. It's kind of time to break down that barrier, that mentality that money is evil, because money really can bring a lot of positivity, whether it's giving back to charity, whether it's putting your children through schooling that you actually like, a school that you want them to go, a private school, giving them opportunities that maybe you never had. And so money needs to start being taught of as, opportunities. So definitely always preaching about things like that.
Absolutely. On a scale of 0 to 10, how comfortable are you with speaking about death and dying?
Oh man, 10. If 11 was on the scale, I'd say 11. I'm assuming 10 is the most comfortable.
As 10 being the most comfortable.
Yeah.
Good, good. And do you think that your personal experience have anything to do with that?
So that's a good question. For those of you who don't know me, uh, my parents did pass. Both have passed. My mom passed away 12 years ago. Recently, as of a few days ago, her anniversary just passed. And my dad, 2 years yesterday. So unfortunately, we lost your brother, uh,
Yeah.
less almost
Rest in
less than a month
peace,
ago.
Edgar Joel
Higuita,
Uribe. We love you.
always in our hearts. And so I've been through certain situations in my life where I see life differently. And when I do sit down with a family or a client, I think of I really do think of my parents because I've been there, done that. So I know the actual emotions that a family can go through. And this is now talking about like the financial stuff, right? I know what can happen when someone's not financially prepared for a medical ailment that obviously they weren't prepared for, how that can be a burden not only financially, but on the family, take a toll on everything, right? And so I don't take my emotions away because I think it's necessary to kind of keep that humanity aspect and connect with people. And I honestly care for others, like needing to prepare for these things again because I've been there, done that. And yeah, I mean, death is going to happen to everyone. It's definitely not something that we can avoid. And so, why not talk about something that we already know is going to happen? It's definitely not an easy topic. Definitely not an easy topic. I remember when I found out about my mom, she was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. I had just graduated from college. And it was during that time that she was feeling pains in her stomach. And being the entrepreneur that she was self-employed. She
You would
was
ignore the signs, try to
that
work through it.
and at the time, she didn't have medical insurance, right? Health insurance. So it was going to the little clinics and seeing what treatments they would give her. And they'd say, for those who know Spanish, oh, señora, no se preocupe, son agruras. So they'd say, oh, it's just the colics from maybe you have not a tolerance for spices.
Or
And
acid
so,
reflux, right?
yeah. And so that continued until it became more bothersome. And so they diagnosed her with pancreatic cancer. And I remember what most people do, they go straight to Google, and Google starts telling you that the person has less than 6 months to live. And I
Dr.
hadn't,
Google, yeah.
yeah. And it was a moment in my life where I couldn't believe it, right? And I was away from home. I was still in San Diego. I went to UCSD. I was finishing my last classes, and I was getting ready to study abroad. And my mom told me, "Oh, just go. I'll be fine. Just you have everything planned.
Have
Everything was
fun.
set.
I'll see you
Have
later.
fun.
Yeah, I
And I
remember you
said,
wanted to go to Spain, right?
yeah. So I had everything set, and I said, absolutely not. Um, and I'm glad I did that because passed shortly 3 months after, and like I said, the unexpected, right? When
Right.
someone like that doesn't have anything planned, like finances do become something that
Of a
is a
priority.
exactly. So yeah, definitely.
And to that point, you talked about how one can have symptoms, but just let it pile up and pile up and pile up. One of the projects that I'm working on for my listeners and everyone watching this is a book. And the point of the book, I'm calling it Un Beyond Health, is to help you take charge of your health and be your number one patient advocate. Like, definitely pay attention to your body. Like, are you feeling tired today? Are you feeling more energetic? Did that food make you more drowsy or more energetic? So, there are so many ways that you could take inventory of your health and so many ways that you can do something about it with or without typical Western medicine.
Hmm.
So definitely get your first opinions, get your second opinions. Don't give up on finding out answers so that you treat it sooner or later. And, kind of in line with, grief. Yeah, my brother, it's so recent. It's just been a month today, actually. It's October 7th. He passed September 7th. And I think I've gotten this, real talk, being vulnerable. I've gotten this greater purpose from that great, great pain. Would you resonate with that, Annette?
Yeah, I think you don't, for some people, it may be different, right? For some people, it might be an immediate, like, man, I have to do something about certain situation, right? For some people, it might take a while because a death is never easy. Whether
Mhm.
it's unexpected, whether you
Yeah.
knew it was coming, losing a loved one is never anything easy. And
Mhm.
so people take death very differently. And grief is definitely one of those processes that people go through different cycles. If it's anger, if it's lonely, want just seclusion, if it's maybe feeling
Denial
okay.
sometimes in the
Exactly.
beginning,
Right.
bargaining. Yeah, there's like H stages, and finally it's like acceptance and contribution as the last ones. But it's not a perfect cycle. It's not a one, two, three, and four. I understand that we're gonna go back and forth, back and forth. I was doing my activities of daily living. I was about to take a shower one day and I just burst crying like out of the blue. And I definitely concur, with the stages of grief and all. But what keeps you driven?
I think the memory of them, knowing, for example, I'll talk about my parents. I know my parents wanted something more for us, right? They worked so hard because they wanted to see prosperity in their children. And who would I be to have parents who came from another country, were deported so many times? Well, this is more so my dad. My mom was lucky. She just, came, and that
My
was
dad
that.
too. Yeah, my
And
mom had it easy as well.
so, young age, my dad was 15, 16 years old, and it took him a couple of tries, and then he finally was able to establish a life here. And what kind of person would I be to disservice that and just take it for granted?
I was listening to Eric Johnson, and this is a black African American ancestry, and I was at like this talk. The PowerPoint he showed slavery, So an image of other Black people with chains as if criminals, right? So he said, everyone has struggles and pain and difficulties. Do you think our modern day struggles are anything comparable to those foreign past struggles? We have
Well,
nothing to compare it to.
yeah, and then again, there's perspectives, right? And
Yeah.
uh, what someone thinks is something horrible, maybe minimal to somebody else. So again, we can't kind of disregard that person's feelings towards something, right? But
Mhm.
I don't
But
think
it's all about mindset.
generate,
Like you
yeah,
said, it's perspective.
perspective, mindset. And like for me, my parents passing has only kind of been something that's fueled me. You know, I wish they were alive to see the kind of the person I'm becoming and the goals that I am aiming to obtain. But they're not around, so I need to make sure that
But your
regardless,
kids are.
yeah,
But your kids
exactly.
are, and they're gonna
And
see
who would
that.
I be? Yeah, who would I be if I tell my children, "Oh, you can do that," and I'm not doing it, right? Um,
Right.
so I have to myself and Josue have to lead by example.
That's right. I'm really proud of you and you guys as a couple. Definitely a power couple of the century,
Thank you.
of course. And just as a final question to wrap up, what does un billón mindset mean to you?
Un beyond mindset. I think I briefly touched on this, but un beyond mindset means that you're gonna do, at least for myself, that I'm gonna do whatever it takes to touch that 1 billion people. I know that in my role within the financial services, not only do I help people financially, but I'm also um, kind of leading the way for others to do the same that I do, with the opportunity for them to change their lives. Whether it's financially, whether it was goals that they were setting for themselves, being a better person. So un billón in my eyes is, you know, financial security for families and generations to come, and for just people to be better versions of themselves and just continue giving back and wanting better for others instead of, you know, stopping this whole comparison thing, stopping this, oh, well, no, I can do it better for that. I can do it better than them. It's more like keeping everyone elevated and keeping everyone accountable and just thinking of prosperity.
That's amazing. And with that, guys, we'll wrap up. Follow us at Enfermera Marisol on Instagram. And you can find Annette on Instagram at Annette M. Uribe. See you on the next show.
Adios.